Hello and welcome back to another Roblox Basics video. Today we are continuing our series on a chassis and lights. So in the previous video, I showed you how to make one light. I believe it was the blinker light here. And in today's video, it's just going to be a continuation of that. I recorded this video and another video, and I see that uh, it didn't record any of my audio. So now I'm having to re-record all of it after I made the modifications to the vehicle. So this might be a little strange, but just follow along and everything will come to light. So I believe we set up the left blinker, and basically we'll just check out the left blinker here. So what we did is we created a folder on the trailer, and in that folder we have lights, right? Here's our trailer, and we called it left just so that way we could keep track of it. And that was this light here. And inside that part we have a light. And it was that simple. So when it comes to setting up the rest of the lights on the vehicle, we are going to do that in the same way. So if we want to set up the right blinker, for example, we want to make sure that we create a group, and let's just do this together. Let's just do this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete some of this code, and we are going to redo the code just as a warm-up. Okay, so we have our right blinker here. It's in the trailer under right and part. So what we want to do is we want to go into the body, and we want to find the file that says right, which refers to this right blinker and this right blinker on the truck. So when we press, I believe it's C, and we want to blink, we want this blinker on the trailer to blink as well. So what we want to do is we'll go into the script called main, and we want to create another GRP2, we're going to call it. Okay, I'm going to say script dot parent. Oops. Now we need to find the folder or the file that we want to be group 2. So dot parent. In this case, we need to find the trailer. Dot trailer, and then dot right, and then we want to say get children, and that will find everything that's in that folder. So you can have a whole bunch of lights, like what I did here. See, I put all these lights on the side of the trailer. They're inside one folder. Look at that, all inside one folder. And then when you press a button, they all turn on at one time. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to take this right here. We want to copy it. And we want to make sure this is for group 2. All these are for group 2 because group 2 is the new light that we want to change, or is the new block, I guess. Same with this one here. Group 2. It's that simple. Now in here you've got different properties: transparency, light enabled. We change the material. Basically what we're doing is we're just going through the block and we're saying, okay, I want to change it. Maybe when it first turns on, you want it to be blue, and then when it blinks, it turns red. Like, you can do all that kind of stuff. Okay, and then we're going to take this one here. Okay, we want to make sure that's group 2. Group 2, and group 2. All right. And we'll press play. There's going to be some other buttons on the screen. These ones I created. All right, so first, let's see. We're looking at this blinker here. And look at that. So we've got our left blinker, and now we've got our right blinker. And then what I did is I went ahead and I connected some trailer lights to the headlight. So if we press L, you see now we got all these lights that light up on there. So when the light first comes on, now I'm not too sure what right? Then the highlights come on. Now what I ended up having to do is, as we know, it wants us to have these point lights. So in here, I added the light, but I turned it off. I had brightness 0, range 0, and then that way just the part itself will illuminate. I suppose just the part itself will illuminate. Now why would I do that? It just kind of, the way I chose to do it. Let's see here, in the headlights here. This is what we did. We have group 1 and group 2. And that's because I didn't want to go into the handler, the light handler, and actually modify body.light.on.value. It's looking for the light. So for me, it was just an easy way of being able to modify the lights, which is what we went through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this headlights, I'm going to delete that. All right, and then I'm going to go into truck body headlights, and we're going to delete this as well. And I'm going to show you from scratch here how we do this. And then we'll get rid of this too. Okay, and then when I press L, there's no lights on the trailer. So we want to add lights to the trailer. So let's go ahead and do that. And you know what I'm going to do real quickly is in here, I'm going to get rid of this and this. Just kind of never mind sort of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to make this. We're going to cover this in this video also. How to make mobile buttons. Just because, like I say, I lost an hour and a half's worth of footage, so I'm just gonna compress it into one. Why not? Part 4 will be the final part. All right, and same with this up here. Okay, so a couple of things. All right, we want to add lights to the trailer that turn on when we press the L button. So how do we do that? So let's create a part. Okay, let's scale the part. Just like that, whatever. It looks kind of big. Maybe we'll do that. Stick it out a little bit. Okay. So just for the purpose of the tutorial. Then what we're going to need to do is we're going to go to Model, under Create. We're going to create a weld, and we're going to weld it to the body. Okay. Then we're going to select it, and we're going to go Control G, which now groups it as its own thingy. Where is it? Where is it? Right there. Model part. We're going to rename this headlight, and then we want to make sure that it goes into trailer. All right, we want to put that into the trailer. Now, what we learned working with the other lights is it also needs to have some type of light in it. So I just use a surface light, and what I'll do is I'll set the brightness to 0, And I'll set the range to 0. And that way I don't have to edit any more of the code. We can change the color to yellow. Right, and let's see here. And we can duplicate that. See, I'm duplicating it in the folder. Right. Duplicate. 3 and 4. And then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just showing you, we're going to use lots, and that way you'll see that there's no real limit to the amount. Right? Like there's no real limit to the amount. It'll choose every object. It'll choose every object. And it will make it do the same thing. Every object that's in the folder is going to do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe? Okay, perfect. It's not perfect. It's, you know, like I say, it's just a tutorial. So now that we've got our lights and we have our folder, what we need to do is we need to tell the truck when we press, right? We need to say, okay, when I press L and the lights show up, we want all these little lights to turn on as well. So we create grp2, which is a separate group, and now we need to find it. Script.parent. In this case, I have to go like this, .trailer, and then we named it headlight, right? And then we say get children. And now what we're going to do is we are going to write out, we can say if, oh no, it already has the script.value, so we just need the for part of this equation. So we can say for I equals 1, grp2 do, okay, and what do we want it to do? We want to say grp2 I, what do we want? Dot transparency equals 0, and then we want to say grp2 I dot, what do we say, material, material equals neon. Perfect. So now it's going to turn neon, and then we want it to do, I'm just going to copy and paste this here, and then turn this to group 2. And this to group 2. Just like that. And I say transparency 0 for both. I probably don't even need to change the transparency. We could just change the material. Yeah. For group 2 specifically. Right? You can do specific things for one group and specific things for another group. Let's hit play. Okay, I'm going to turn the clock time, make it nice and dark. All right, you can see all the lights that we have on the trailer. When we get in the truck, we press L. You see the lights light up on the trailer. Now that's neat. And then they turn off, just like that. Pretty fancy, huh? So if you're making a vehicle, this is how you add lights to it. It doesn't matter. You can add lights to the truck. You can add lights to your car, to the trailer, whatever. Just make sure that you create a separate group and make sure you reference that group. Reference the group. And make sure you write code for what you want that group to do. All right. That'll pretty much do it for lights. Pretty basic. Yeah. So the next topic that we are going to get into is actually modifying the A-chassis UI. All right. Now I had already done that, so we're gonna try and do it again. Do it again here. So this is the A-chassis. It's basically a screen UI. Here, let's see. I'll put this back in the plugins folder. Let's see. So when you hop into the vehicle, it clones to your player. There it is, player UI. It clones its own A-chassis interface, becomes its own thing. And it has everything in it. Your controls, your values, everything for A-chassis gets cloned to the player. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to modify the gauges and we're going to add some different controls. So if I go right now, let's say I publish this game and I wanted people to join it just so they could drive this truck around and be nice and cool. Well, currently the only people that can drive the truck around are computer players and console players, because we don't have any buttons, right? We have input for a keyboard and we have input for a D-pad, which we can set up through here, but we don't have any inputs for, say, a tablet or a mobile phone. So what we need to do is we need to create those buttons. And that's what we're going to do here. What you'll also notice is I've taken, let's go through this. So the stock gauges. We have the speedometer, we have the tachometer. Not too sure what that is, right? We have our speed, which I moved up here. ABS, gear, parking brake, traction control. This is where you can move it around, okay? Think of it, it's a frame. It's within a screen UI if you just create it. You can move these anywhere you want on the screen, right? Anywhere you want. I happen to put them there. If you want to change the colors, double click on the local script, come into the local script, and you'll see here we have the drive data. All right, rev. Look at that. Goes to red. If your RPMs get too high, you can change that color to whatever you want. Same with this here. What else do we have here? Traction control. Here's the color of traction control when it shows up. Okay, you can change that to blue or green or yellow. Same when it's, see, this is when it's text color and then the stroke color. So this is when it's active. It goes red. Otherwise it's yellow. Neato, huh? So this is where you can change all of that. Your ABS, change the color of the ABS. So when you turn on ABS and it shows on the screen, it'll be a different color. Now it's red. I don't know, maybe we want it to be blue, right? Then when they turn on ABS, it'll show up blue. This is where you do all those modifications. Now you're thinking, okay, so we've done that. We've moved our gauges to where we want them to. We've set up our colors to where we want them to. I'll just show you the play the game here. So we changed the, what was it, ABS? Which is Y. Yeah, see how it's blue now instead of yellow? Yeah, neato, huh? So this is where you'll be modifying that. Take the frame, put it into a blank screen UI, just like that, and then now you have the overlay. It's perfect. So now we want to add our buttons. We want to add buttons for a tablet and we want to add buttons for a mobile phone. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to do a couple of things. First, we need to insert a button here into the stock gauges. Now we could, This doesn't have to be the stock gauges. You can put this back in the plugins folder, all right? And you can insert in object, let's see, you can insert a frame, just a blank frame, and you could rename that to my controls. Okay, oops. Suppose it helps if you spell my controls. Now, if we hit play, I'm just going to show you that that frame also gets cloned with the rest of, there's your frame, my controls. And there it is here. Neat, huh? So we hit stop. Oops. Okay. So for the purpose of this tutorial, yeah, let's do that. Actually, let's do that. So we have my controls here. We have my controls, the frame. And what we'll do is we can make it as big or as small as you want. Inside my controls, we're going to go insert object. We're going to insert a text button. Okay, let's do that there. So let's do this. Let's take this frame and let's make it small. And then let's make two. Let's duplicate that. Okay. All right, whoops. I'll make a video later on about how to design. All right, let's see, insert object. Let's go UI. Corner. Yeah, let's duplicate that, and we can put that in there, and then you can there. Then it's kind of round, right? Make sure these are the same. Okay, so now one of these is going to be the gas, which we'll rename this one gas. And one of these is going to be the brake. Let's rename this brake. And then let's also physically rename the button brake. And let's physically rename this one to gas. Okay? So we have our two buttons. All right? And when we put this into the plugins folder, we're going to hit play. And I'm just going to show you that when you enter the vehicle and it brings it up, there's our two buttons, gas, brake. Right now, they don't do anything because they're not connected. And that also, if we do background transparency 1 on the master frame, then the master frame is going to be blank. It doesn't show up anymore, but we still have our two buttons. Okay? So the next thing we need to do is we need to modify the drive script. The drive script is what controls, you guessed it, how we drive. And we have a section here called the input handler. So this is where I chose, because see we have controls, shutdown controls, we have all these. This is where I figured I would write the code. So the first thing we need to do is we need to locate the button. It's going to be a little different. We could physically find the button here by going through the files, but let's see here. Let me see if I can explain this. As you can see, what gets cloned to the player is different than how we view it inside the folder. You see it has the interface, and then everything is cloned into the interface. So we have my controls here. So when we're writing these controls, we have to reference them, script.parent.mycontrols.break. Whereas here it's a little different. It would be script.parent.parent.mycontrols.break. So let's say local gas equals, and then we go script.parent. And then I said .my controls dot gas. All right, we'll do another one. Local break equals script dot parent dot my controls dot break. Now we've got our two variables for our buttons. And now we need to add our commands for our buttons. So we are going to say gas dot mouse button 1 down. Connect function. Connect function. What's going on here? All right. Now we have one function will connect when you press the button, and one function will connect to when you release the button. So what we need to find now is the variable for the throttle, and that's here. Gthrot, right here. Gthrot. Okay? So if we say underscore gthrot equals 1. Easy peasy. Now we're going to test that. Let's say hit play. So now when we press go, or our gas button, in theory, the vehicle should move forwards. And if I have it in gear, as you can see, it's moving forwards. Now, it's continuing to go forwards because we haven't told it to stop, right? So what we need to do is we need to say, okay, so that's what happens when you press the button down. But what happens when you release the button? So we can say gas dot mouse button mouse button 1 up, connect function, okay, and we can say underscore gthrot equals 0. All right. So now when we press play, all right, and we hold down the gas. When we release the gas, see we're slowing down? All right, and now we've just created a tablet button. So someone on a tablet or a mobile phone can now join the game, and they can make the vehicle go. Now we want the vehicle to stop. We want the brake. So same thing, we can go brake dot mouse button USE BUTTON 1 down, connect function. All right, connect function, and then we go, what's the variable for brake? Underscore G brake. So we go underscore, and all the variables come up, and we can find it in here. There's the parking brake. Where is the G brake? Right there. Okay, equals 1. And then same thing, we want to, here, I'll just copy this because I'm lazy. And we want this to go mouse button 1 up, connect function, and then we'll say brake 0. So we'll release the brake. Now when we press play, all right, put it in gear. All right, now we have a gas button, and we have a brake button. We have a gas button, and we have a brake button. Fantastic. So now we can modify this. We can add any amount of buttons here, and we can connect those buttons in this way to any of the functions in a chassis. If we want to have a gear shift, a clutch button, a gear shift button, we want to have a button for the parking brake, you name it. All right? And this is how we do it. Well, I hope I wasn't going too fast, and I hope that I laid out enough of that information. Let's just recap what we did. So we learned how to modify the gauges by creating a blank screen and then dragging that frame into the screen. Then we are able to select the individual elements that we want. and we're able to change the properties of those individual elements and move them around the screen wherever we want them to be. All right, and then we created our own control frame where we added 2 buttons. They could be buttons, they could be images. Then we modified the drive script on a chassis to add our buttons so they can interact with the drive script. Okay, easy peasy. Like I say, I hope that you're enjoying this, following along. I'm trying to get across as much information as I can. Like I say, I recorded about 2 hours of video and didn't get any audio. So this is sort of an abridged version of that. If you have any questions, just write them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. Thank you very much and have yourself a wonderful day.